The marketer of the future. What are the must-have soft and hard skills? On the back of World Federation of Advertisers survey of 700 marketers worldwide, AANA explored this and other key issues for marketers in Australia in conversations with a CEO, a CMO, and a leader in executive search for their advice and insights. Please meet CEO of Blackmores, Alistair Symington, Lisa Bacon, Director of Audiences at ABC, Emily Dowling, CMO at Mars Pet Food, and finally, Kate Ferguson, Associate Partner at Hourigan International. These are the key highlights. You can find the whole webinar on the AANA website.
I call it being a poet and a farmer. I mean, you need to be a great storyteller. You need to have a high level of intellectual curiosity. You need to be able to really spend a lot of time understanding the depth and heritage of your brands as a marketeer, and then the skill then is to apply that in something that is more in a very disciplined and focused manner, and so that's where the technical skills come in. So this balance between being a poet and a farmer is really important. I think the third element is you touched on who's teaching the marketeers of the future. My expectation from a chief marketing officer is a very large proportion of their work plan and responsibilities is around building capability, and it's reaching out to their network of marketing colleagues across a cohort, and really being in touch and bringing that sort of latest thinking, those new ideas into the capabilities and training programs for their organisation.
I think storytelling is a really important skill set. I just had a call this morning with one of my teams, a bit of a stand-up check-in, and one of the things that we were talking about is the best way of influencing stakeholders. And I work for a creative organisation. I said, don't give them facts, give them stories, make them feel, make them care, talk about things that are authentic and from their heart, from your heart, and that's the way that they'll remember things. My first ever board presentation, I was really fortunate that I actually got a coach because I was a bit nervous, and something I would encourage everyone, if you've got a really big presentation, take the time to do it well. And I sort of showed him my 100-page, PowerPoint deck, and he literally chucked the whole thing out and said, that's not what they want. They want to understand you, and they want you to bring this to life. So chuck away the decks and just tell them a story that brings to life the things that you want. And for me, I work at the ABC, and I'm a huge believer in the power of brand. So my story was about where I work for the ABC. I grew up in regional Queensland. In my town, we were surrounded by forests. We had bushfires. The thing that saved our community, many times over the years was the ABC radio. So I have a huge value for public broadcasting. And that's, for me, that brand story is really powerful. And I encourage all marketers, what is your brand story? How do you bring that to life? How do you use that as a way for people to really understand the value and the power of brands?
My advice to my team and to any junior marketer is always breadth. I think that, as we look through that presentation that you shared with us, even in my, 17 years working in this industry, the technical skills do change. And I think, the advent of Byron and all of his learnings, that really flipped a lot of the functional learnings that many of us had before. Now we're going through the same again with digital marketing coming in. And I think your ability to be agile enough to learn is actually what is going to set you apart in your future career. So I think about it really simply, where can you create value? Get some great breadth to be able to help you to learn that. And then I think the final thing that I'm really encouraged, and I loved hearing you talk about, Lisa, your board presentation, is you've got to be really honest and really vulnerable about your areas of leadership development. And I think, working with the marketers in my team, the tendency to grab the textbook out and want to, look at, these are the competencies that I need to be a great marketer. I think it really is some of those softer skills. So being honest with yourself about the areas that genuinely scare you, and they do tend to be more of the leadership competencies, the general management, if you like, competencies, than they are just how to learn how to be a good digital marketer. So I think when you are honest in that space, what I encourage everyone to do is know those weaknesses and then really push hard into them. So for me personally, as a young marketer growing up, I was definitely on the poet side, Al. I came very hard from that lean. The finance scared the hell out of me. So getting really involved and finding mentors from a financial CFO background was very, very important for me. And then as I've gone through my career, I think you've always got that in the back of your mind, but you feel like you've put the hard yards in early enough to be able to do that. So yeah, I would say go for breadth, really understand the business, get under the hood of the business. And if you know how to create value, I think then you can reapply that no matter what the technical skills and changes that are flooding into the industry.
So the question I think organisations and CEOs really should be asking is, what should they be looking for when they're hiring a CMO today? And they should be looking for creative leaders. You know, creative leaders are at the forefront of transformation. They understand all of those new world levers of digital data, technology, innovation, customer experience, and they're using those levers for commercial return. You know, creative leaders are, they're creative and commercial. So I'd like to give a few examples. You know, we spoke to Beth Comstock, who's the previous CMO at General Electric in the US. She was charged with reinventing the future of lighting. You know, with the move to LED lighting some years ago, the company literally had to reinvent their revenue model. She worked with the chief digital officer who set up a startup business within GE, and they used advanced energy technologies combined with network software to deliver smart city and smart building solutions, and completely reinvented a 125-year-old lighting business. You know, we've talked a lot about this today. Creative leaders put the customer first. When the board briefed us on the CEO role for Blackmores, they literally said, and I quote, "We want someone that bleeds customer." Enter Alastair Stimington. You know, customer-centric marketers and leaders live and breathe their customers, and they're laser focused on providing amazing experiences, and that's what companies are looking for. And we know that brands that drive that are 5.7 times more, they drive 5.7 times more revenue than their competitors. We actually recently placed McDonald's first ever head of customer experience, and that person came out of the retail fashion industry. I mean, McDonald's know they can't just rely on great burgers. The end-to-end customer experience is what makes the difference. Creative leaders are analytical and inquisitive, and you've all said that before. You kind of have to, you know, I'm looking for someone between a detective and a scientist. I'm looking for someone that looks in weird places for ideas. You know, there was this article in Forbes this week about how gamers can teach marketers about succeeding in a disrupted market. So in gaming, a critical key to success is being the first to spot opportunities. Not just looking in obvious places, but how do you have that peripheral vision to look at a category from multiple angles?